back to my YouTube channel, #moviebae. I am moviebae, and in this video, I'm going to be recapping and reviewing episode 5 of College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 2. But before I get too into it though, I would like for y'all to drop down and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Because here on moviebae, I do reviews, reactions, and commentary to movies and television. And if that is the type of content that you like, you might as well stick around and hit the subscribe button. And if you find yourself enjoying my commentary along the way, don't be afraid to give me a thumbs up and or drop a comment down below. Now let's go ahead and get into episode 5. Now it's midterm time, and half of the cast remained at home looking for Ray J's phone, while the other half actually went to class. So Tiffany, Orion, Iman, and Kayway, they're calling their roommates to see where they are before they get an incomplete for their midterm. Shortly soon after, the gang walks in and everybody is relieved. So for the acting midterm, they had to do mock interviews. And the people who did the best were Ray J and Orion. Ray J was interviewing for a funeral director, and he kind of had like this joke about having sex in caskets, and then Orion thought he was talking about with dead people, and then Ray J was like, oh no, me and my wife. So it was just a really good improv session. Now for their French midterm, everybody did horrible. The French midterm, they had to greet a partner and speak in, French. And Kayway was making up his own type of language, and Ray J just went into spelling his name. And would you really do that when you're first meeting somebody? I mean, I guess, but not unless they asked. But everybody screwed their French midterm. Back at the house, Parker calls her mom, and they basically have this whole session about Parker being biracial, and she said that going to an HBCU makes her feel closer to her blackness, and she gets to learn more about I guess her African American heritage. I'm laughing, but it's not funny, y'all. I'm sorry. It just kind of makes me wonder, like, did she grow up with her dad? Because her mom is white. So was her dad in the household? Because if so, you should know about your black heritage. Like, all this shouldn't be a whole culture shock to you. So I don't know. But in the same breath, we go and talk to Amber, Ray J, and Orion. And Amber Rose is talking about her biracial experience when it comes to dating, especially how she's too white for the black guys because she's a little bit gothic. Y'all see how she dressed. And she loves heavy metal music, and she gets forehead tattoos and things like that. But she's also too hood for the white boys because she's from South Philly. I just think maybe Amber was born in the wrong generation, because like I'm a millennial. I was born in the early 90s, and there are plenty of guys that, we listen to rock and roll, pop music, like they understood, you know what I'm saying? So maybe she was just born in the wrong generation with that divide. But now, like anime and all type of weird shit, black people into all of that shit. Black people into all of that. So and Ray J says, Amber, maybe you should just be yourself. And then she says, but Ray J, that's hard for me. And then she immediately wants to change the subject. Now, something I'm learning about Amber is when she doesn't want to talk about something, when she doesn't want to face controversy, or when she doesn't want to face what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict. She runs from it. And initially, we all were like, oh, okay, because of her abusive past. But it's like, no, sis, every time you don't want to talk about something, you shut down. Like, you're never going to grow through it if you don't go through it. You're too old to just be running away from your problems. Talk shit out. It's time for their civil rights midterm, and they had to write a paper about what they learned in the course and relate it back to their personal lives. I personally feel like a lot of them missed the mark because they were just writing about civil rights movements that happened in the city that they're from. And either they didn't show it or what, but it never related or correlated back to their personal lives, except for Amber and Ray J. I feel like they did the best. Now, Amber did the CORE, which is the Congress of Racial Equality. And that's when they had black and white members that were basically fighting for equality. And that goes back into her being biracial. All right. Now, Ray J, his grandfather was an activist, and he helped with the Freedom Project. He drove the bus for the Freedom Riders and things like that. And even his house was bombed. And that related back to his personal life. Y'all see how that works? Everybody else missed the mark, but Amber and Ray J did the best on that midterm, in my personal opinion. Now, when it comes to the African American literature, neo-slave narrative project, everybody missed the mark. I'm telling you, like, everybody, first off, Tiffany and Parker with their spiritual, my ears, they're bleeding. And then Iman and Joseline and Orion sounded like they never rehearsed a day in their life. And Amber, K-Way, and Ray J, it just completely wasn't on topic. So when they were all presenting their projects, I was like, damn, did I misunderstand the project? No, it was them, because the professor at the very end stated that everyone missed the point, and this is worth 20% of your grade. Like, if y'all don't understand what the assignment is, ask, email. What? I don't understand the assignment, professor. Can you please explain it to me? Now, I'm not a guy or anything, y'all, but is his edge up? Is it supposed to look like that? Or like, how is that supposed to go? Now, after having a hard midterm session, Tiffany is really feeling down on herself. So she calls her friends and kind of like just talks about how she's stressed about school, how she's never confident. She doesn't think she's smart enough and things like that. Now, when she wakes up the next day, she ends up stepping in some food that Ray J had left out, and she goes and she blows up on him. Ray J is, of course, making everything a joke, and because at this moment, Tiffany's just like venting about how she doesn't feel smart and she's not used to using all of her brain. And Ray J is like, we can tell. And even though that was funny, Ray J, it wasn't the time. It wasn't the time, because you could tell that she was serious, you know? So, of course, she blows up on him again. And then in the confessional, this is when we get Tiffany crying and being vulnerable, stating how she doesn't think that she's going to graduate because she doesn't think that she's smart. And I honestly, it kind of brought a tear to my eye, and I really hope that she does end up graduating, because this will just prove to herself that you are a smart girl. And sometimes it's not even about being smart per se. It's about understanding and trying. Period. Half the time you can pass a course if you just go to a professor office hours, and that sounds bad, but if you go to their office hours and sit there and ask for help, some people will literally give you a grace grade because they see how hard you're trying. Later on that day, Tiffany does go and apologize for blowing up on Ray J, just letting him know that it was misdirected anger. She was really just stressed about school. And then she tells him that, you know, she's kind of inspired by him because he failed the first time around and he came back and he's trying still. So that was like a good little moment or whatever. So now it's time for the Magic City Classic. This is their final practice before the Magic City Classic, and everybody is stressed and messing up. But one thing that I loved about this little session is I didn't know that everybody comes together and they rehearse together. I mean, it makes sense logically, but I just like that everybody was there. The band was there, the drill team, the flag girls, and we're all practicing and feeding off of each other. I just thought that that was dope. So now it is time for the Magic City Classic. And once again, this is like the rival game for ASU versus Alabama A&M. I just wanted to say this costume was a choice. I don't like it. I didn't like the wig choice either, and I wish that they didn't do that. But before every game, you know you got to tailgate, right? So during the tailgating session, we have Orion and Tiffany, and this is where they really start flirting hardcore, talking about meats and putting the meat in your mouth, how far can you go? And all the while, Ray J is side-eyeing Tiffany because y'all know she got a fiance at home, right? He was like, Alabama, not Vegas. Everything you do here isn't going to stay here. Now, right before the performance, I was about to call her Katie. Parker is having a freak out. She's messing up. She doesn't know how to end. And the dance coach tries to give her a pep talk. I personally would have been like, well, you know what? Stay your ass backstage, because I don't got time for you going on the field. I ain't got time for it. I don't have time for it. But it's halftime, and everybody does well. Tiffany is the highlight, and Flag was perfect for her because she's so dramatic. Tiffany was living her absolute best life. So afterwards, everybody wants to go home and turn up. I forgot to mention how Joseline didn't go to the game because she was spending time with her husband/boyfriend. And I felt sad about it because this is yet another bonding session that Joseline has missed. So she is at the house though when everybody gets there, and they all go to their wooden table that they call it, where everybody drinks and turns up and they're listening to music. Now Joseline doesn't like the type of music that Amber has been playing, so Joseline is now hogging the aux. This is when K-Way tries to form some form of rules, like, okay, everybody gets 2 to 3 songs and then we can pass the aux around. That way everybody can play their type of music that they like. And then K-Way realizes that he's the only one that's voicing his opinion and standing up to Joseline. And he feels like, especially Amber, because essentially standing up for Amber because Joseline said she didn't like the music that Amber is playing. He wants to know, why isn't Amber standing up for herself, especially backing him up, since that's what he's doing. And this is why I gotta say, K-Way, this is what happens when you stand up for people. Sometimes you gotta let people fight their own battles. You know what I'm saying? Like, period. So this upsets him and he walks off. Now later on that night, when Amber comes in the room, he wants to talk about the situation, asking why didn't she speak up. And y'all know when Amber doesn't want to talk about something, she doesn't talk about it. So what does she do? She runs from another conversation yet again. This leaves K-Way very sad in his confessional, and he doesn't like not knowing if he and Amber, because they were cool prior to the show, he's not sure that if they're going to be friends after this. And he also thinks that Joseline is yet again trying to stir up more drama in the house. That is the end of episode 5. Now next week, they're going to get their grades for midterms, and I honestly don't think anybody's going to do well on that. And then this is when we get the infamous fight between Amber and Joseline. Now, shown in the clip, the professor or the assignment is talking about racial mountains. So I'm thinking it's something that you have to overcome about your race. And of course, Amber is biracial. So she talks about not being black enough for the black people and not being white enough for the white people. And then Joseline is going to chime in and say, well, the problem is you really just want to be a white girl when you're really a black girl. Now, first off, we'll get into it on episode 6, but I do want to say, Joseline, I don't even know if you're the type of person that can add an input on this, because first off, she's not a black girl either. She's biracial. She's both. And herein lies the issue. So I honestly have been watching clips of Joseline talk about how she's going to get expelled after this altercation. And I hope they expel Amber as well, because in the clip, Amber walked up on Joseline. It doesn't matter who is provoking. Both of them are fighting, so both of them need to be expelled. But I guess we'll get into it on episode 6 next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure you hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more content that I drop just like this. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my commentary. And of course, drop a comment down below on your thoughts and opinions on the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.